This is Michael McKeon, a.k.a. Morris Fletcher, a.k.a. Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. For all your favorite characters from the Gilliverse, shop the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. Also brought to you by Rode Microphones, the official microphone supplier of Inside the Gilliverse. See their entire lineup today at Rode.com. Now please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Season 3, Episode 8 of Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with extreme pleasure to welcome tonight's guest, first time visiting here on the Gilliverse. You know him as Juan Bolsa from both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the super talented Javier Grajeda. I'm going to bring him on the screen right now, and we've got him. Javier, how are you?
Good, Eric. It's finally nice talking to you. Well, I guess so to speak, face to face, screen to screen.
Yeah, we've been chatting back and forth, comparing notes on the shows, and thank you so much for the positive feedback that you shared. And man, oh man, have you been knocking it out of the park in 3 episodes so far?
I appreciate the kind words, but thank you so much. And you know, I'm really excited to be here. I may be a little nervous too, but that's a good thing.
Well, you and I had about 10 minutes of warm up before, so I think we're both doing pretty good. And I'm not going to lie, okay. I'm nervous before every show too, but I mean, you made it quite easy for me too, so it's fantastic. But before we get into all the fun and good stuff, you brought something to my attention just off the air, and I mean, I'm staying pretty adept with the news. Sadly, I think it's more Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but you know, I'm keeping up with a little bit of the news. But you told me something shocking I didn't know about. Share with me a little bit.
The wildfires in New Mexico right now are just out of control. And I mean, I just heard on a news broadcast that they're just really, people have lost homes and they're evacuating. I think it started in Las Vegas, in New Mexico and stuff. So yeah, they're having a tough time right now.
Well, big thanks to the first responders and everybody out there fighting the good fight, right?
Right. And, sending them good thoughts, good energy, and, or give them a shout out. So hang in there, everybody.
For sure. Has it just been drought, or has it been, do you know the cause?
That's partly it. Yeah. The whole, we're in California, and, that's our middle name now.
Yeah.
Middle name.
Yeah.
It's our last name.
Yeah. I know when I visited a few times, it's rare when it rains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's true what they say. We have 4 seasons: summer, winter, fall, and wildfires.
Yeah.
And the other one, spring. Yeah.
I joked here in Canada because I'm up in like towards the Toronto area here, and it's almost like if you're a Star Wars fan, you can have like The Empire Strikes Back or like Return of the Jedi. You can have like frozen tundra in the morning, and you can be like molten lava in the afternoon. It's just you don't know what to get here in Ontario, so. Be prepared. We're already getting some fantastic questions coming in. I'm going to jump to those in just a second, but I got to give thanks to where thanks are due to our mutual friend Betsy Brandt for making this introduction, eh?
Yeah, that's right. She got you my information, and if she's watching, thank you, Betsy, and if not,
thank you anyways. We don't care.
Yeah.
We were teasing.
Thanks a lot, Betsy.
We were teasing her when Tom was on. Tom had a really bad internet connection that night, and there was times where Tom was like this, and we didn't know if he was actually just really relaxed or if he was actually froze. So we were teasing him throughout the evening. It was a lot of fun. So thank you, Betsy, for that. But anyways, this is coming in from one of our moderators, Jen Stevens. She says, I saw you on an early episode of the A-Team opposite Dwight Schultz. Now, I did not know that. What was it like for you on that production? A-Team.
The A-Team, man. I had less weight and a lot more hair then. Jeez. It was a short, it was a small part. And, from what I remember, we had a lot of fun. I mean, I think there was a helicopter scene, and it was at the beginning of my career, so it was. I mean, I was having a lot of fun actually as a as someone on the set experiencing something new. It was and Dwight was he was a lot of fun. He was just a lot of fun. But he was, I mean, those network shows, they're they just they have to bang them out because they have to finish within it's not like, we get like 10 days. I think at that time they got 7 days to do an hour show, something like that. So I didn't get much, me time with him. So, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's the best I can, that's the best I remember. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, that's a classic show in our generation for sure. I saw some tweets tonight on Twitter about Knight Rider and all those shows. Those are big.
Yeah. I guess that started my career as a bad guy. I mean, because I do remember Knight Rider. I was like a gang member.
Okay.
I mean, do I look like a gang member? Come on. But we were in a junkyard, and again, I was fascinated by how all this worked, and how how the guy driving the car was way low, and so it looked like there was nobody driving the car, that the car was driving itself. And I was like, I have a line here. I better, I was just fascinated by that. But that was also at the beginning, and it was quite an experience being on that set, and then I saved a blind girl. That's what it was. I was trying
Good
to
for
remember.
you. Good for you. There you go. That was the pay it forward moment that just launched your career. There you go.
Yeah. I pulled her out of the car, and I said, "I'm your friend. Come on, let's go." And I set her free.
There you go. Well, we as fans were first introduced to the character Juan Bolsa in Breaking Bad, and I know it was just a few episodes throughout the season of Breaking Bad, and I think it was season 3 where Bolsa first come in. But I imagine it's got to be just surreal to see now we're in Better Call Saul. We got a spinoff. We're at the end of it now, almost.
Yeah.
And I mean, the amount of scenes that you've seen throughout this show. Your character has been incredible. It must be surreal for you to see that on the script again and again and again.
Yeah, it is such. I'm so grateful to Vince, actually, because when was it? I auditioned for Juan Bolsa in Breaking Bad, and I was killed in episode. I think it's 8 of the season 3. I think that's when they killed me at the hacienda. And then in episode 4, I was on the flashback, the famous flashback where Max, Gus's boyfriend,
yep. Mm-hmm.
gets popped in the head. And so no, it's been amazing. I mean, I was already a fan of Breaking Bad. And I had no idea I was going to be on the show. And the way it happened was I was at my agent signing some paperwork, and one of the assistants says, I just submitted a bunch of stuff to Breaking Bad. And I said, oh, so cool. That's my favorite show. And he said, well, I don't know if you're right. And I said, what do you mean if I'm right? Well, let me see the character breakdown. So he shows me the character breakdown. It was like, 50s to 60s, speaks Spanish, Mexican, is not necessarily threatening, but probably a bureaucrat at some point and took a turn, and now he works for the cartel. And I said, who is that? He goes, yeah, I know, but I don't know if they're looking for, if you have enough credits or whatever. So, the history of, Bryan and I went out into the hallway and I made a phone call, and I know Bryan doesn't tell his people to hire somebody, but he could make a suggestion, right? So I called Bryan. I got his voicemail, and I said, "Hey, man, what's going on? I saw a part over here at my agent's, and I think I could do a good job. So if you run across it and put in a good word for me, that'd be great. And if not, well, then go screw yourself. You owe me dinner when you're back in LA, you son of a bitch."
Yeah.
It was basically, that was the phone call. So I let it go. By the time I got home, when we had answering machines, right? Remember the answering machines?
I do.
I already had a message on my answering machine, and it was an audition for the show. So and the rest is history, I guess. Vince, like I said, I have to thank Vince, because we were at an event and Vince was there, and Vince is such a cool guy. You've had him on the show, and he's just the most mellow, the nicest, and I don't know where all that darkness comes from.
I don't know.
Because he's just, and so we were saying goodbye, and he was leaving this party that we were at, and he goes, Javier, I want to get you on Better Call Saul, but I don't know, it's got to be the right way. It's just, it's got to make sense to the story, but because you're so great in Breaking Bad, so I'm not promising anything, but I'm gonna get we're gonna work on that. I said, hey, just give me a call. I'll be available.
Yeah.
And it happened. So that was pretty. That was a big compliment, I guess.
Agreed.
But,
well,
yeah.
I look at Bolsa as being like this. I hate to make the comparison, but it's almost like a mediator in a divorce. So you're keeping the peace with the Salamanca. Bolsa is keeping the peace with the Salamancas and the Gus Frings of the world, and it's like making sure they all play nice, because at the end of the day, we just want to make money, right? And as long as you guys are coexisting, everyone we make the money.
Well, I have to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
But more than anyone else, I have to keep Eladio happy. Right?
Exactly.
Our buddy Stephen Bauer.
Yes.
And so I said, that one scene I had with Lalo in I think it was season 5, episode 1, where we're trying to control Lalo, or at least get him out of the way, and we have that conversation, and he says, "Do you trust him? Do you trust Frank?" And I say, he's not one of us. He's not one of ours, but
he produces.
He makes money, and he makes Eladio happy. So
that's it.
And then Lalo says, "All right, we got nothing else to talk about."
And he's full of it when he says that, right? He's just trying to appease you, because he's got an ulterior motive, right?
Right. And there's all and of course, with Lalo. That whole storyline of him, trying to keep him in jail, and I set up the attack in the desert, with Mike, that Mike saves, he saves, Jimmy, and but that was all my doing to try and keep him in jail so we can get him out of the way.
Exactly. Exactly. And some of these characters, like the Lalo for sure, a Bolsa, Gus Fring, all of these characters are such, like, they're charming, and that can be scary. Like Bolsa, both Bolsa and Gus, that's what's really, really scary, when you can be smiling at 1 minute and slice somebody's throat the next, right? Yeah. Like, the role that you had, telling Nacho in episode 3, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, so turn off if you haven't seen it. But you're going to die today. And it could be it could be a good one or a bad one, fast or quick or slow.
But if you tell me what I want to hear, it'll be a good death. I'll make sure it's a good death.
And that tone, so your character's tone, and your acting in that scene set up for, right then and then, we might have thought, well, he'll escape or whatever, but that set the tone for what was to come. And I get goosebumps right now thinking about it. That was just, whew.
No, it was. We touched on it a little bit before we came on, and the scene was just so. The day we shot, it took 2 days to shoot that scene. The first day was all of what you saw, all the close-ups and the stuff down on the ground. Second day, we had to do it again for Mike's POV through the scope when he's watching everybody, making sure everything goes right. And but yeah, it was very tense, and like I told you before, but in a good way. And it really just helped, just bring the scene to life. It was just, it was pretty amazing. One of my favorite acting experiences, to date for me, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, for some of our fans that are watching that like the behind the scenes stuff too, go back and watch last week's episode with Marshall Adams, because Marshall, I think you saw a bit of that one, but this goes, I know you'll attest to the genius of Vince. It's so easy to go grab some, stock footage of a target over top of a frame and put that on there like a bullseye, whatever. But they actually, Marshall explained how that was done with a camera just like I have, a Sony a7 III, through a scope and physically shooting through that at the target. So that's real, what you're seeing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. It's incredible. And, the attention to detail is one of those things that really, not surprised me. It didn't surprise me because it's Vince, and, I'd worked on, Breaking Bad too. But the attention to detail, it takes me back to Breaking Bad, where we were going to do that, the scene around the pool, and Vince showed up. And he comes there and goes, "Hey, Javier, good to see you, man. What's happening?" And then he says, "You know what? Let's pick out a watch for Juan Bolsa. Let's see what." And he called the prop guy over, and I'm going, "I'm getting special attention from Vince, man. He's like, he's helping me choose the watch that Juan Bolsa would wear, And here's something that you might find fun, is that he says, "Well, you know where we got the name, right?" And I said, "No." He said, "It's a tribute to Johnny Pockets in The Sopranos."
Oh, exactly.
We just took his name and we translated, and we said, "Well, that's Juan Bolsa. Well, my Johnny Pockets, Johnny Pockets." That is so great. I was like, that's Vince.
It's totally fitting. It's totally fitting. It totally is. And to get your own attention, getting to pick the watch. Obviously, it's not a Mickey Mouse watch or a Casio. It would be something of real class.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to jump to some questions coming in through the chat, and I'm going to go to some audio questions. First one coming in again from Zoko says, and I know the answer to this one, and I'm not going to give it away, but a lot of this will be on your IMDb page. But he's asking if you've done any voice acting.
I've done, my share of voice acting. I started doing actually what's called looping, or ADR, automated dialogue replacement. That's what ADR stands for. But basically what it is all the background, the din you hear when, like, if there's a scene in a restaurant and you hear people talking in the background stuff. Well, they hire a bunch of us actors, and we fill in all that stuff. And then, of course, it's mixed down so it sounds like you're in a restaurant, and you really can't distinguish a lot of stuff. But then there's also times when they actually want something specific to pop out, and also they'll do, if there's not enough, if the story doesn't have enough exposition, then you'll hear an offstage voice going, "Well, you better get in that taxi because you're going to be late." So now the guy's going to be late and why he gets there late in the next scene.
Oh, okay, good.
So it kind of fills in more of the exposition. That makes things, make more sense if they haven't gotten enough, in footage or whatever. So yeah, that's I've done some games, and but I'm by no means am I, is that a huge part? I mean, I do enough, but I mean, there's friends of mine who say, "I wish I was on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul." And these guys, they have 2 houses and 4 cars because of all the voiceover stuff they do. Sure. And I said, I want to do half of what you do.
Everyone's got their specialty, right?
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun too. It's great. The voiceover work. And I was in What About Bob? I was the voice of a homeless guy that was kind of going nuts as he's walking down the street in New York. And I made the vomiting noise for Romeo and Michelle's, high school reunion of a guy that was going by and he's barfing in the bushes. That was me.
There's the Emmy right there for you, right there for vomiting. That's hilarious. Well, I remember when Patrick Fabian was on, before he came on Gilliverse, when he was on my old show Rock Shop, and Ray was on, they had both commented that on Better Call Saul, it was it's the least ADR that they've ever done in their careers, because it's done so well. Like everything, the story just dictates so much of there's little needed. Right.
And you know what? That was another thing. Now that maybe we could talk about it here. The writing is so it is so concise. It is so exact. It is so it just, you read the page and you go, wow. And I even told Vince one time, I said, you know what, you should, and they could make a novel out of all the scripts as written, the final scripts, because everything is there. You know the thoughts of the characters before they, as Nacho looks over and he sees, Hector go into the pick. Should I go now or should I do it? But so it has all. It's like reading a book, and then you see it all on screen. That's what's amazing. I told Vince that at the premiere when we were there. I said, everything that I read in the script, and the way I visualize it, it's pretty much the same as what's on screen.
Yeah,
because it's so well written, and and a big shout out and thanks to the writers, everybody, the writers room, Vince and Peter, Tommy and Gordon and everybody. It's just like thank you. I think about some actors who have been on Breaking Bad, and then you go do another show. Not that the show it's a different type of show, but the writing is just completely different. Let's just put it that way.
You're spoiled. Yeah, you get spoiled when you work on a Vince project.
You get very spoiled. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's a good example, a good testimony to when you talk about a novel. Stephen King is a major fan of Vince's work. He's given him praise multiple times. What does that say? What does that say?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy has got some of the most incredible literature on the planet,
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. A question coming in from Andrea from Germany. She says, what was the most challenging scene for you when shooting Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul?
In Breaking Bad, it was the pool scene. Number one, because I had never experienced, you see TV shows and you see gunplay and you see people and you see blood and stuff. But when we rehearsed the scene when Max gets shot in the head, they actually had rigged the whole thing in his head. And I said, okay, we're going to give the gag, everybody's, we're going to give the gag a try. Let's say, we're rolling action. And so, I'm sitting in the chair and Mark Margolis, Hector comes over and puts the gun up to his head. And, it wasn't very loud, because they did it off screen, but he puts the gun to his head and then this blood starts squirting out of, and it was like, it was chilling.
Wow.
And through the rehearsals, I reacted as I would have reacted, as the cartel would have reacted. Another dead guy, But the difficult part of that scene was when Giancarlo got so upset that when he goes after Hector. And he goes after Hector, and it was my job to stop him. And, he's, Giancarlo is focused and he's, I literally had to wrestle him down to the ground, and the stunt guys kept coming, goes, hey man, you're going to get hurt. And I said, well, this is one for Vince.
Take him on for the team.
Yeah. And so it was, but it looked great. But that was quite a feat to wrestle him down, because he was, and it was, but it looked great. It turned out really, really great.
That was such a powerful scene.
Yeah. And there was another, this has nothing to do with me, but in Breaking Bad was a scene that really made a big impression on me, was when Crazy 8 is in Walter White's basement.
Yep. And Jesse's place there.
Yeah. He's in the basement or whatever. And Max, that's his real name.
Mm-hmm.
Max.
Yep.
That's the real Max Arseniega.
That's right. I know. I love that.
And so Crazy 8, it kind of gets him into his confidence, and Bryan brings him a sandwich, and then he drops a plate and it breaks, and so Bryan takes the plate, takes it back, and he's taking the plate out of the garbage bag. He notices that there's a big piece missing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a broken, and that moment I'm going, he's going to have to kill him.
Yep.
This is like, here's, Mr. White, the chemistry teacher, and he's going, I'm going to have to kill this guy, or he's going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that moment was just, for me, and as great as the moment was when he had to let Jesse's girlfriend die, I think for me as a character and as a human being, if you had to make that decision, that first time you have to kill somebody, you're
mm-hmm.
What a thing to go through emotionally, and
Well, in that case, killing Crazy 8, it was kill or be killed in most cases. But with Jane, that's when he really went to the dark side. He really started. I mean, at that point, no lives really were mattered. As long as he got his end result, he just sat there and watched her die. You could see him; he wanted to react, and he was about to, and then something just changed him, and he's backed up, and his character changed.
Yeah. But I'm sure you've read the stuff that Bryan actually, emotionally, he just lost it after the scene, because he said he thought of his daughter in that moment when he was, and it just, he said it took him, I don't know, about an hour or so to calm down after that scene. But no, that was, I mean, not taking away anything from the emotion of that scene. But for me, the first time you have to kill somebody, I think is it's a big moment in your life.
Yeah, that's something hopefully not a lot of us will have to experience, I hope not, for sure. Okay, we'll do one more question here, then we'll jump to some audio questions and circle back to some more again. This is from Courtney's Reviews. They say, I'm curious to know about what you think about Bolsa's background is. How did he come to be associated with Don Eladio, and how did he get in the game? Very good question.
Well, like I said, in the audition, we all showed up, and I remember all that we had was what's on the page, and so I just took that nugget and kind of expanded on it. He worked maybe at the mayor's office, or he had some sort of official job, and then through his meetings with other people, he kind of got seduced. And then his acumen, with the negotiating and stuff like that, it just turned into what we see on screen, now. And he's from Chihuahua, where the Salamancas are from, and so his relationship with Eladio got bigger, and he got more responsibility. And he's, they never had me actually shoot anybody in the show. So that said something about what his, about his character and about his persona,
mm-hmm.
But
that can be taken a good way too, though. That character may, just because you don't shoot somebody, I mean, you don't have to shoot somebody. There's that fear factor as well too. I don't have to shoot you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that first scene with Danny Trejo,
mm-hmm.
that was my first step into the Gilliverse.
Yeah.
Back then, and it was. First of all, I was kind of starstruck. I mean, I knew Danny and stuff, but here I was doing a scene with him, and so he. That was, of course, my first experience on the show, and to Michelle McLaren directed that episode, and some of these cartel guys and stuff are they're just real crass guys, and there's everything is F this, and we got stay man, get them whatever out of here and stuff. We need to screw those guys and get it. We have to get control, and it's So I had a little bit of that. I had seen some read some stuff about the cartel, and I had watched some shows and stuff, and so I made him a little bit bigger than life, like, hey, how you doing, Jefe, stuff like that. And Michelle says, great. We did a couple of takes, and then Michelle said, you know what? You're this guy that you don't have to do anything because you have the power.
Yeah.
And so then we did those takes, and that's been his path the whole way since then. And I have to thank Michelle for that,
Well, we all have to thank her for that. Yeah.
And exactly. Yeah. And so, and I did, I emailed her, after that, and because a lot of friends who saw the show and the people whose opinion I respect, and they thought, man, it was so intense, and you hardly were doing anything, but man, was it scary. I said, wow. Okay.
That is
sometimes,
good.
You're in the moment and you're not thinking about that. You're just, you're fulfilling your assignment as the character. And, everyone said that look, as you get up and you say, no, I have a present for you in the back. And they said, just that little look in your eyes, you knew something was going to happen in that back room.
Exactly. Well, just like we talked about with episode 3 of season 6, when Bolsa says you're going to die today, even though it wasn't going to be Bolsa doing the killing, once he got the information that he needed, he would have said, okay, we got it, now take care of it. Obviously it went a different way, but he would have just said, okay, guys, I got my information. Bolsa would have stepped out of the scene and it would have taken its course. But yeah, having great power sometimes means not using it. Right? Yeah. For sure. Oh, wait, we'll jump over some audio questions, and there's a question coming in the chat from, I think it's Crooning, and it's very similar to Karina's question here in audio, so we're going to answer 2 questions at the same time. So here's a question from Karina, our executive producer. Here she goes.
Hi, Javier. This is Karina. Hi. I know you used to live with Bryan Cranston, who was an old friend of yours from your comedy class days. Can you tell us what that was like?
Oh, it was awful. I hated him. I couldn't stand him. And he was so arrogant. No. We had a lot of fun. It was, and we met actually during doing a TV show in 1985, and that's how the relationship started. And we were doing a show called Cover Up, and he was the villain. He was the guest star villain. He was a serial killer, and I was the detective. And of course, he kills me in it. That's the only time I've ever had done a scene with Bryan, actually, and we've been in a lot of stuff, a lot of the same projects together over the years. But that's the only time we actually, worked in a scene together. But so I met him on that show, and he said he had just come back from New York, and he asked me, we're in the makeup trailer, and I'm sitting there minding my own business. And, Bryan, he's like, hey, man, what's going on? What are you doing? What's your name? Where are you going? I just came back from New York. And you know what? I had this experience where I took my camera and I went down to Central Park, and it was a Sunday, and it was the marathon was there. And so I was taking pictures, and I saw, he said, I want to run the marathon. I said, oh, yeah, great. And I said, well, I've been running for a while and stuff. So, good luck. He said, well, will you run with me? Maybe we can, and I said, okay. And this was like in February, and the marathon in New York is in October, right? So like, so what, February, March, April, May, June, July, it's 8 months or something. Mm-hmm. So I said, who is this guy? A stranger asking me, well, but okay. I said, he goes, well, here, let's exchange numbers. So we started training for the marathon, or he was training with me. But I asked him at the trailer, I said, so, well, when do you want to run this? How much do you run? He says, oh, I've never run.
Really? Never?
No. And I said, so, well, when do you want to run it? Sure. He says, in October. I said, okay, well, you got some work to do, man.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. We started training together, and we actually ran 3 marathons together.
Wow.
Yeah, and 3 or 2, something there. And that's how it started. And we were in an improv class together, and he's. Well, I mean, you probably, Malcolm in the Middle. Come on,
of course,
it was so funny, and Vince had a fight for him to get the role on Breaking Bad, because Vince wanted Bryan because of his experience on the X-Files with Bryan. Bryan did this amazing dramatic scene in the X-Files where he's in the back of a station wagon, and I guess the thing was if he stopped moving, like his head would explode or something, or he'd die. So he had to keep moving, and they were trying to get him to give him the antidote or something. So he goes through all these things about his life and his thing, and he's it was amazing. I mean, I remember catching it while flipping channels. I mean, literally, and one of the makeup people that worked on both Saul and Breaking Bad was telling me, she says, this is a great story. You'll love this. She says, I remember being out there in the desert in California, in Lancaster, California. And I remember Vince coming up to Bryan, and he said, hey, Bryan, you okay? Are you doing good? You all right? And Bryan's going, yeah, let me have some water, and stuff. And he says, you know what? I'm going to write you a show. It's going to make you a big star. All right, come on. All right, let's go back to the I was going, whoa, okay. And it happened. Yeah.
Man. Well, look how much the Gilliverse parallel universes intertwined. So you've got X-Files. You had some X-Files with right. Vince and Bryan. You had Malcolm in the Middle, a few episodes there. Yeah. You had CSI Miami, and I was asking this off the air, Rex Lynn, our favorite Kevin Wattel from Mesa Verde. So all these people, I know a lot of times you're not in the same scenes with them, but it's so cool how these I mean, it's a small world. It's like musicians. Oh yeah, I've been on that gig. I played that gig with that band. Right. It's it's a small world at the end of the day, but it's pretty cool too to see the intertwinings, I guess.
Yeah, and he was in the pilot of a show called VIP with Pamela Anderson.
Okay,
that's one of my I like to say Pamela Anderson was my boss for a couple of years on that show. I recurred on that show. It was a crazy show, but Bryan was in the pilot, and that's another show that we were both part of, and we were never in the same room.
So cool for sure it is. We're going to jump over to a question from Raghava. Here is Raghava's question.
Hey Javier, this is Raghava. I'm so happy and honored to be talking to you, and I love your performance as Juan Bolsa. I think Bolsa is such an interesting and fascinating character because he works with people who are from two extremes. On one side, you have the Salamancas, who are ruthless and unpredictable, and on the other side, you have Gus, who's all about vigilance. Between these two, Bolsa on screen appears to be someone easier to talk to and reason with, but you can't let your guard down easily, as he's also extremely dangerous and commands your respect. This is evident from his scene where he orders the killing of Tortuga from Breaking Bad, and it's also very much visible from your acting. What were some of the discussions you had with the creators of the show while coming up with this character?
Well, there we go. You talked about the Danny Trejo, and you also talked about with Michelle McLaren how Bolsa isn't going to necessarily exercise his power on screen, but were there any other measures, as Raghav is asking, that to get into that mindset of the character?
Well, we go back to the writing, and pretty much having established that starting with Michelle and that pathway, that path into well, the past and the future. We're talking, because we're, it was actually, it wasn't that hard to make decisions and to make choices, because everything, and I keep going back to the writing, everything is on the page. And if there was something else that needed to be discussed, then you have a discussion with the director, who would, maybe guide you, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. But basically, they basically, a lot of times they would leave you alone with the decisions that you've made, and with what, with the history of the character, and actually just playing the reality of the scene. Okay, here I have to convince so and so that, or whatever, whatever the task is at hand for the character. So, I mean, it's somewhat akin to what David Mamet has said in his books, where if the writing is good, all you have to do is make logical choices, and it'll get you through. You'll find your way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like one of the things that you shared with me off the air, and this is quite cool too. A lot of the fans, I mean, there's some fans out there, many of them, most of them out there, they know so much about these shows. Like some people think I know a lot about it. I just push the buttons here and enjoy the show. I'm not like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to knowledge of the Gilliverse. But a lot of people assume that, you have the full script for your episode and you know how it's going to go. But in some cases, like you said, you only get the lines of the scenes that you're doing in that particular episode. Right. And that's it. And a good example of that goes back to Breaking Bad with Skinny Pete and Badger towards the end. They've got the laser pointers and they're going to be the trained assassins off in the distance. And they had no idea what they're doing with those pens. They were just shining lights and they didn't know how that scene was going to dictate. So that's pretty cool when even you, the people in front of the camera, don't necessarily know where it's going in that scene. And that can create some mystique for the character and maybe add to the scene too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's, you hear the acting term "in the moment." Well, it pretty much does keep you in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it must be just amazing to watch the scene unfold on TV or at a premiere or, a screening, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
It was. I think in Vince's episode, he talked about what a difference it is to see it on the big screen, and I just don't. I don't understand. The kids who watch everything on the phone.
Oh, I know.
I just don't. I mean, I don't get it. But I guess they enjoy it.
Yeah, they go to a concert and they're watching the concert through their phone. You remember the old days? Like, we go to concerts.
I know. I was in a. Yeah. Here we go.
I know. It's our age.
You're standing. I put the phone down. I'm trying to see what's on stage.
I know. I know. I like some of these concerts. Like I know Jack White's a good performer of doing this. Like they'll have like these secure bags. You come through the gate and you put your phone in a secure bag, and you can only unlock it if you go out to the like the rest areas. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, that happened. I experienced that at of all things at a stand-up show at a little club. It was a teeny little club, but putting your phones in the bag. I said okay. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. You don't have people. You don't have the distraction of people.
I know.
Or the phone going off, and because you hear that all the time.
You do. You do.
Yeah.
It is a distraction. It takes you out of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We'll jump to the last audio question. This one is from Lori. Here is Lori's question.
Hello, Javier. This is Lori. You have an impressive long list of acting credits, and I know that you knew Bryan Cranston from a long time ago, but my question is, what circumstances led up to you being the voice of Gaff in the 1997 Blade Runner game? I was curious as to how that all came about for you. Thanks so much.
Well, I actually auditioned for that role, and it was actually based on Edward James Olmos character from the movie, and I used to do being in a sketch comedy group, I used to do a bit, the Edward James Olmos thing. Of course, I had to wear a wig and stuff. I put on a wig, but and so I got to do the voice. And when it came to audition for this game, I went into the agent's office and, I said, oh, I did my best to Edward James Olmos, and that's how that happened.
Fantastic.
It was pretty simple. I mean, and then, you go and you record it, and it's, again, you're there, you go line by line by line, I mean, people may think that, the other actor is there. It's not like doing a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
A game is, you just do all of your lines. So you do, you do 300 lines in a few hours.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And then if the game goes on and it's a continuing character, again, they bring you in again, you do 100 more lines or 50 more lines. And, the directors are all very good about, getting you where you need to be.
Yeah.
Or if they like what you're doing, they just let you go. That's, which actually makes me think of the casting.
Mm-hmm.
Of the shows.
Oh, phenomenal.
They're, like I said, a lot of times when I'm on the set, I'm also being a fan, or when I was watching it, and you think, where do they find these people? It's amazing, and they're all good. Everybody on both shows are really, really good. No
matter how big or small the role.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, kudos to Sharon Bialy, Sherry Thomas, and
Oh, it's incredible. We can't praise them enough on here.
Yeah, they're great. They're so but it's so and I gotta give them a big thanks. It's too bad that there was no wrap party because of COVID and stuff. And because that way, everybody is like just relaxed and you can go and give your thanks in person, or, you give gifts, and everybody, it's a big party basically, but you have a chance to actually get to know some people who, you wave and you pass by when you're crossing paths on the set and stuff. And you really don't stop and say, hey, hi, I'm Javier. My name is John. I'm I'm the, whatever,
mm-hmm.
I'm one of the riggers, or, so that's too bad that we weren't able to get that, the party to have that camaraderie actually, and get to know more people that you've worked with.
There may be some actors, I wish them all the best in their careers, but there may be some young actors that come through and maybe never experienced something like this ever again in their lives. So what they've experienced coming through, working for Vince, whether it be, and Peter and everybody, a small role or whatever, it's life-changing. It really is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I at the premiere, I was talking to Haley.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her name. Haley is Drama Girl.
Yeah, yeah.
The crew, his skeleton, video crew, and I was like gushing like a big fan. I said, Haley, I love you on the show. You're so good, you guys, and what a great gig. And she said, I didn't know. I auditioned and I got it and stuff. And then 2 weeks later, my agent's calling me for availability, and then a month later, another availability. And and she said it's been an incredible gig, and the detective, a couple of the detectives go back to Breaking Bad,
mm-hmm.
that are in Better Call Saul. I can't think of the actors' names at this at this moment in time, but and it's great that the production, Vince, those guys are they're using everything.
I know.
They're using all of us. And it's been an incredible experience.
As you said too, some
actor, go ahead.
No, I say, as you said too, sometimes it's just the line. It's just the line. Sometimes you getting that audition, like we talked about the comedians off air. We were talking about there's so many comics on the show, And look at, we were talking about Lavelle Crawford, one of our favorites as well too, Huel. I mean, he shows up and basically says, "All I'm saying," and he got the gig. You know, it's pretty much as easy as it was. You know, right. And it works. It works. You know. Yeah. And look at his character. It's so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's fantastic. It really is.
Right.
I think that's it for the audio questions, but we got a super chat question coming in from Thomas Cunningham. Says, this is good. Love Bolsa. Every scene he's in is riveting. Do you think he knows Gus was behind the Lalo assassination attempt?
You know what? I don't think so.
Okay.
Just because of the circumstances, and if there was it happened more in Breaking Bad at the phone call. I think the suspicion starts to build up, but at this point, I don't think so, because the main goal was to get Lalo out of the way.
Yeah.
And so that was his focus, is, how am I going to, he hired the Colombians to try and, kill Jimmy in the desert, and all that stuff. So I think not then. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did make it very clear that no one was above suspicion. Right.
Right.
So yeah. So who knows? Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, they actually had, because I wondered about that line, because I thought, he doesn't know yet. I don't think, and I had to go in and do some ADR because they wanted a little bit of a different performance on that particular line. You just,
okay.
They said, they don't want it to sound like you're warning him, You got to be just be careful. We all have to be careful.
Right.
It was more a generic warning to everybody.
Okay.
So they had me go in and do it, but I don't know how it played. Apparently, it played that there was a little suspicion in there, which is okay.
That's good. We should get some of our viewers to go watch that scene again, and just now that we know that, and see how we feel about the dialogue. That's cool. I'm going to watch that later tonight too, just that scene, and see how I feel about that. That's cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that little tidbit with us too. That's nice. That's nice, and I guess that's really important for ADR, right? Sometimes maybe we gave away too much with this dialogue. We need to change the inflection or the tone or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's a good question from Black Maestro. Says, is it easier to play good or bad guys? And then maybe as a secondary question, is there one that's more fun to play?
It's always, for me, and I think you've probably heard it in other interviews from other actors, it's so much more fun to play the bad guy. You get to chew the scenery a little bit more, which means you get to be bigger and broader, and you get to, scream and yell or whatever. And it's a lot more fun. And, playing a subtler type character. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think, say, like a really uptight accountant that is an introvert and stuff like that. I mean, that's a more difficult assignment, I think.
Okay.
Because you have to explore what's going on with him emotionally. Why is he an introvert? What happened in his past that, why is he an accountant?
Mm-hmm.
Still, or whatever. There's all those layers and those colors that you have to explore.
Maybe quirky mannerisms and things, and
exactly,
yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that could be challenging for sure. Whereas being the bad guy, it's just, I don't want to make it like stereotypical, but like just an enforcer. But I can see where that could be more fun to get into.
Yeah. Well, here's an example with Juan Bolsa. He's not, coming in, busting doors and, pulls a machine gun out and starts, shooting people, like Luis and Daniel, those guys, man, what a pair, what a crew. I'm in awe of those guys whenever their characters, when I see them on that one scene where they come in like the Terminator and they just blow away everybody in that opium den, mm-hmm. whatever it was, that motel. Jeez. And you've had them on the show, right?
Yeah, they're coming back in 2 weeks too. Yeah.
and they're like the coolest guys. They're always joking and poking at each other and stuff. And Luis calls his brother the ugly one, and it's just like,
yes, he does.
They go back and forth. But yeah. Anyway, so
they're teddy bears.
So for Bolsa, I guess getting back to the point is for Bolsa. Yeah, I had to find stuff. I had to make choices that were within the parameters of what we had established. I mean, going back to Michelle, and I've had all other directors. Well, even Vince too. He said, "No, you don't have to do anymore. It's good. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's good. Just you're right on the right track. Keep And Vince is great. Vince is very generous. He'll let you try stuff. He'll let you do if you need to, or if you want to, and he'll. Like in the scene where we're cracking the safe, he had me, the first rehearsal, he had me right next to the guys that were, and, I didn't know there was going to be, a shower of sparks. I mean, it was like,
wow.
And I backed up, and I got out of the way because, I don't know if they'd fireproof my clothes or what, And so, so he comes back in and goes, Javier, no, I want you a little bit closer. You got to come up a little closer because we won't see you in that. I'm doing a bad impression of Vince, but and I said, well, I was getting really showered with those sparks and stuff, and he says, oh, well, I asked for a gag with a lot of sparks. I guess I got it, huh?
Oh, jeez.
And he said, well, okay, you know what? And so we talked about it. I said, I can stay in the back over here. He goes, no, I know what we do. He goes, and it'll make your entrance better. He says, we'll have the guys open the safe, and once they crack it open, they'll call for you. So that'll even give you more power when you come in. Do you like that? I said, yeah, that's great, Vince. Sure.
Yeah, an entrance, yeah. Because you could get a spark in the eye. I mean, there's no joke. Yeah. I mean, that could hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were wearing goggles and stuff, and, but it did, and it was much better. And it gave me an entrance and, showed that I was in charge and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, very, very powerful for sure. Yeah. This is a good one. This is from Wesley Orser. Says, how good was your golf game when you prepared for the scene where Juan Bolsa plays on the golf simulator? Are you a good golfer?
Well, I had never touched the golf club. Well, a real golf club. I've done, putt.
Yeah.
I tried to get it, through the windmill and loop-de-loop, but I'd never. And they had me actually work with a golf pro, and it was fun. Actually, he said, you actually have a pretty good swing. You should keep playing. But when I saw that, the way it was cut, though, I thought it was perfect because it comes in off of the phone call from
Gus.
With Gus, yeah, and he says, "Yes, well, it's perfect the way the scene was written, where he says, well, who do you think hired these guys?" And then, you see they cut to the golf swing and all that stuff, but. They had me work on the golf thing, and I was doing really well, because we were inside
on those domes.
Room.
Yeah,
we were indoors. Yeah, we were indoors, and they gave me real golf balls. So I said, okay, and I shanked just one that went boom, 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 boom. Everybody. And so the Matt, one of the camera guys, because the camera was in front of me, and I was hitting the ball.
Oh jeez!
He said, "Okay, now they brought in like plexiglass."
Yeah, to protect the camera.
Yeah. Well, the camera, we can. The guy's expendable, but no, we can't break the camera.
No, those things are. Yeah, big dog. Have you continued to play since?
But it was a lot of fun. To answer the question, it was fun, and it was fun. Working on a swing and all that, and my lady, my better half, played golf a long time. And so she also helped me with the grip and with the, keeping the hips, straight.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't pursue it because I'm an equipment guy.
Okay.
I love, when I get into something, I love the equipment. I used to ride, bike. I used to have, so I got a really expensive road bike. I mean, I couldn't afford it, but but this is the best bike. I got to get the best bike, or the running shoes when I was running. I mean, that was, that was probably the cheapest sport. All you got to buy is some shoes and some shorts, and you can wear a t-shirt or whatever. But also still, I mean, you get the latest, fabric for the wicks away,
Yeah. So in other words, when you're in, you're all in. You want to get Yeah. I love golf. I haven't golfed in a lot of years either, but I love it. And I find it really relaxing. And I never try to do better than, I just go out there and just have fun. It's fantastic. I do love it a lot. Karina and a bunch of other people in the chat are asking about that beautiful blue painting behind you. Any story on that behind you? Do you know anything about it?
You know what? I'm doing this from who you met earlier.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yes, it's her place because if we had done it from my house, it would have you'd see that there'd be pizza boxes over there and stuff. It's
okay if you don't know the answer. You don't have.
I'll have to text you what.
Yeah, and I'll share. If it's shareable, if it's something not too personal, if it's shareable, I'll share it on our Facebook page after.
It was up before, and it's been moved around, and she would not like it if I brought her in here.
No. We don't want to put her on the spot.
I don't want to.
No.
I'll find out. And
and if it's shareable, I'll share it.
Yeah.
I'll put it on our Gilliverse Facebook page. Well, we're right at the top. Cool. We're right at the top of the hour. So I want to really, really thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us and gracing us with the pleasure. We love Bolsa. And one of the nice things is we know we're going to see Bolsa some more, obviously, At least we know he makes it to Breaking Bad.
He will be back. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. There's also a lot of intensity in that. There will be a lot of intensity in that episode.
Yeah, because when we cut back to that story, I mean, it was a different story last week, but when we pick up where this story went and what happened out in the desert, now there's some answers, and there's the aftermath of that. So there's going to be some more screen time. But phenomenal. Thank you so very, very much. And I hope you have a fun weekend, safe weekend. And
thank you, Eric.
Yeah. And I will extend an invitation towards the end of the season as we wrap up to post, and you want to come back on. We maybe have a few of the cast members on at the time. We'll have a little bit of a party. And
that would be great. It'd be great to come on with the boys because, I'm their boss,
Yes, you are. Well, they're coming up. I don't have my text document open right now, but they're coming back. I think it's around, I don't want to say the 10th. Karina knows, probably. She knows, she can put it in the chat. But they're coming on, and Tom Schnauz is going to be back on that episode. So it's going to have four of us. So we'll be talking about you, and of course, we'll find out who's the better looking one. I know Louis is going to say he's the better looking one and all that stuff. But we'll talk about you, that you're here, and see what they have to say. And I'm sure they'll have some anecdotes. There's a little things to say.
Well, thank you for making this so easy, Eric, and and fulfilling all at the same time.
Well, I will say the same to you as well. Thank you for making it very easy and a wonderful night for me as well, too. I tell our viewers here, too, I mean, I know a lot of people like watching these things, and I love it just as much as they do. I mean, I'm a fan at heart big time, and it takes a lot to retain my composure. On the inside, I feel like, a lot of times I'm meeting Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, on the inside, but I got a show to do. So, but I'm not going to lie. Just like, if you fanboying out with some of these characters, we all do. Everyone has a hero, right?
Yeah.
That's what we got to remember at the end of the day. We all have our heroes and they have a hero. So, yeah. Well, don't go away. I'll say goodbye to you off the air. A big thank you to all of our people, Karina and everyone, Jen, Renata, and Eamon, our team here that make the show happen as it does. Our big sponsors over at bobbleheads.com, Warren and Rachel, thank you so much for everything you do. And if you're new here tonight, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. We will work just as hard to keep you as a subscriber as we did get you. Oh, we cannot go away without this. We have to do this very quickly. So we go to the Gilliverse and there's a smell in the Gilliverse, right? And there's a smell. It really has a smell. It might be it might be pretty, might be bad. It's two things. It smells like this and this. This is a Tom Schnauz thing. What would Bolsa say it smells like in the Gilliverse?
Sopapillas and reposado tequila.
Okay, so what was I know what tequila is. What was the first thing?
Sopapillas.
Now what's that?
It's a fluffy bread that they serve in all the restaurants, in all the southwestern restaurants in New Mexico, as an appetizer, and they're like fluffy fried dough, and you pour honey on them, and you open them up, and steam comes out, and they're delicious.
That sounds good. I'm hungry right now. Well, the true answer, it is food. One portion is bacon, and fear. So I guess fear could be some stink. The bacon, Tom loves bacon. Vince gets bacon, so halfway there. And the answer to thanks to Renata, the brothers are coming on May 27th. So catch the boys here with Tom Schnauz on the 27th. So yeah, I almost left without asking that question. So there you go. All right, don't go away.
Thanks again. Thanks to everybody, the people in your production crew and stuff. This is a great experience.
Thank you so much. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I'm going to say goodbye to you out there. Everyone, see you real soon. We'll catch you. Actually, we're off next week, but we'll be back the following Friday. Until then, cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.